Okay, I'm live. Hey, I'm Martha. My name is Martha. I am a relationship counselor and clinical sexologist. I am an introvert. I'm highly sensitive. I'm an empath. I am quite intuitive, and sometimes when I put out my personal stories, people think that I'm being exhibitionistic. My third book, for instance, From Princess to Queen, consists of many of my personal sexual stories. And the book pretty much goes like this. So at the start of the chapter, there will be my personal story, and then there will be some tips at the end of the chapter for people to take away. Like, for instance, how I learned how to masturbate, and then there will be some tips on how people can start to learn how to masturbate. So in my third book, From Princess to Queen, when I published it, there was quite a backlash. It wasn't really in my face, but people were talking about me like in a bad way. And it was a pretty scary book because it was very personal, and I mentioned my mom and how um, she affected my attitude towards sexuality in a positive way. And my mom actually has a really big influence on my sexuality. And my mom passed away 2 years ago, and last year um, I was um, I was able to finally travel more and really um, take back some of my focus on myself and also on my work. Anyway, I'm just saying all this because I want to put it out there that when I share personal stories, a lot of times it's not because I am exhibitionistic. In fact, people who know me are so surprised by how private I am, how close a circle I have of real friends that I trust. Because I already get made fun of publicly. I really want to feel safe with people that I call my friends. And so I share my stories because in my work, I have to respect client confidentiality, and clients can mean people who attend my workshops and people who work with me face to face. So usually I just talk about clients in general, but most of the time I only feel that I have permission to talk about clients who have come for my workshop because it's really general enough what they ask me. So anyway, having said that, I'm not an exhibitionist. Having said that, it is a struggle for me. Having said that, I share from my personal life because I have to respect my clients' confidentiality. Now, with that open-heartedness, I want to share with you this personal story. This is my personal story, and I often share this actually in my fellatio workshop if there's time. Sometimes there are more questions, and the way things flow, I have to skip the question this story, but sometimes I would bring it into the workshop, this story. So I thought, well, I'm telling this story for like 11 years. Why am I not making a video about it? So I felt that I would only be comfortable sharing that story if I made this little disclaimer, which I just did. Okay, where's the story? The story is um, I was in a sexual relationship with someone, and giving blowjob, and then playing with the balls, and then the person said, hey, put your finger in my anus. And so I was doing like so many things, and then also put finger in anus. So afterwards I asked this person, I'm curious, why are you into like playing in the anus? And this was the answer. I don't know. I'm not gay. I guess often people get a bit, you know, defensive. They don't want to be portrayed in a way that they are not. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay. So he said, no, I'm not gay. It's just that when I have my penis and my balls and my anus touch, it feels like everything is covered. Everything, it feels very complete, and it feels like the parts down there are all getting the right attention, and it feels fabulous. It feels great. And I think this is very much related to the video that I just made, and which is why it inspired me to make this video, is that when somebody has a sexual preference and they express it, don't just shut them down. I didn't shut down this partner. I instead invited a discussion. What, you know, don't take me, don't misunderstand me. I'm just curious why. I'm just curious why you like that. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm not making any judgments. I'm not making any statements, but I'm just curious. Why do you like it? So having had that answer, which is a great answer, and they were able to express very clearly their why, then I did it for him. One hand, and then the other hand inside the anus. And he didn't need, and he didn't really have any experience with like the finger going in very deep into the anus, because actually the anus is full of nerve endings. So really the most pleasurable parts have to do with the more around the entrance of the anus, and so most of the sensation is there. And so we talked about it, and he says, yeah, I get feedback, and says, yeah, it's great, and he liked it. And you know, he was brave in expressing his desires, and I felt good that I was comfortable to provide. And of course, I know of people who are uncomfortable to do anything around the anus. You can wear glove. You can wear glove. You can put a condom over your finger. And if there are traces of feces in the anus, you can always reverse the glove. You can take off the condom by reversing it. And there may be like slight traces of feces, but it really isn't as disgusting as a lot of people make it out to be. I think it's just a matter of not having the sexual knowledge around the anus, and understanding that the anus is actually pretty clean. And there are people who do cleaning of their anus. I'm sure I'm pronouncing this wrong, enema. And what they do is they inject water into their anus, and the water would then wash out anything that is there, including the traces of feces. But really, there's an argument around doing that because it introduces bacteria into the anus. So anyway, I know I'm going on about the anus, and maybe this is like a bit TMI. Some of you are like, oh, I don't want to even think about it. Okay, I'm just sharing with you that sometimes with conversation and with understanding, and that it feels good that you can give to your partner what they want. And so yeah, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, remember that I am taking questions on Patreon, and I will make insider videos, exclusive content that is never published anywhere. And so it's going to be much more specific advice for like very little money, like $5, whatever. And also you can subscribe to my mailing list, that is eroscoaching.com. I am giving away a lot of free content during this period, like my Facebook support groups. I have one called a free coronavirus emotional support Singapore for people who are in Singapore, but actually anybody who is interested can join that group. That's free coronavirus emotional support Singapore. Another one is Victory Days. Victory Days is a group where you state 3 goals for the day, and you report back at the end of the day, did you do it? it's really about managing, controlling your monkey brain. Because we get distracted. And actually, one of the goals today that I set was to make a video, and that was the reason why I couldn't go to bed until I make that video. I couldn't take off my makeup. I have to make that video. So since I was on the roll, I decided to make another video. So this is the second video that I'm making today. I know I'm not very strategic in what I'm doing, as in I'm not like, I'm linking videos and people may or may not be interested. They'll just pop up. People will know what I'm talking about. But it really, it really is kind of just going with your intuition. Not everything that I do is so strategic. Sometimes it's just about going with flow. And so, yeah, I have Victory Days. I have free Coronavirus Emotional Support Singapore. And then I have Laugh Yourself Free, also on Facebook. And in Laugh Yourself Free, I post a video every day for 1 minute of me laughing. And the goal is to inspire people to join me, laugh at me. And that actually is also very vulnerable because as a counselor, when I put myself out there like this, there are people, my counterparts, who judge me. Like, oh, this person is kind of like a loose cannon. So trust me, some of the things that I do that I feel really strongly about doing and talking about, like May is Masturbation Month in the US. Every year since I started my practice 11 years ago, I have tried to do something in May. And there are people who think I'm a bit of a loose cannon. I get so many questions around masturbation from people with penises. I feel that there's a real suffering around it, even though there's also ignorance and inhibition, but I feel that there's real suffering from the lack of sex education. And being an Asian in Asia, I feel that it's really important that an Asian puts herself out there and talks about sex. And somebody who stands for sex, loves sex, but that also means that I'm putting myself up for being judged, and sometimes it's really, really tough. So anyway, join me on Patreon, because come on, the support is not just about money. I think the support also encourages me to keep doing the work that I'm doing. It's also an echo from the universe. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to my mailing list if you haven't, and check out my products, my website. I have many things on my website. And if you have a question, haha, for the third time I'm mentioning, join me on Patreon. And then you can ask me a question and I'll be happy to entertain you, because I have already 800 videos on YouTube. I think I've answered so many things over the years for free. If you want a specific questions answered, support me. Okay, thank you and have a nice evening.